Welcome back to NRM 638, Python Scripting for ArcGIS Applications, Spring Semester 2015. This is an e-learning class at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. In this session, we're going to create a Python add-in tool. And a tool is something where you basically interact with the data frame. So for example, a button, you push the button and something happens. So these are buttons in ArcMap. A tool, you interact. So basically nothing happens until we interact with our data frame. So we could use a tool, for example, the pan tool, the identify tool. So basically nothing happens when we click on the tool, but when we get in our data frame and do something, then the tool is applied. So that's basically tools, and we're going to create a tool in this session that will create 30 random points within a rectangle that we draw in our ArcMap document. So for this session, we'll make a new add-in. So if you go to the add-in assistant shortcut, and I'll put my add-in in a new folder, create random points add-in. And then we could call this version 1, and we could give it a company name. And a description, add in to create random points using a tool which defines the extent of the random points, author, and we could give it an icon image. So ArcGIS, bin, icons, and I pick an image. So next what we'll do is we'll add a toolbar. So right mouse click new toolbar. And then we'll add a tool to that toolbar. So new tool. We'll call this tool 1. And then we'll give it a tooltip and a message. So the tooltip will be create random points, and the message will be create random points to memory. And then we'll give it an image for our button. So C programs x86 ArcGIS bin icons. So I'll pick this cadastral merge point selection. I'll pick that as my icon. Okay, so then we'll save our work and then open the folder that contains our Python script, and that's actually going to be in this install, and then we'll edit that. Okay, so our tool will have many events. So on mouse down would be on the mouse down, get the XY coordinate from the page. On mouse down map would get the XY coordinate in terms of the map XY values. So we're not going to use these, so we'll delete those. So what we're going to do is first set the shape of our tool, and it can be set to a line, a rectangle, or a circle. So we're going to set it to a rectangle. So Control C to copy, Control V to paste. And then on rectangle, as we create a rectangle with our tool, this will be the extent of our rectangle. So then what we could do is enter code, what will we do within the extent of that rectangle. So on rectangle, if we already created random points, they're created in memory, so we would use ArcPy delete management to delete those. And then what we'll do is ArcPy create random points. Our workspace will be in memory. The name of our feature class will be random points. And then we'll do it within the extent of our rectangle geometry, and then create 30 random points. And then we'll issue a message box to the user. So Python add-ins, Control C, Control V, dot message box. So our message box will be 30 random points created as layer in memory, and then we'll give it a title on rectangle event, and it'll be a message box style number 0, which is just an OK button. Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll check for any syntax errors. So save, and then check for syntax errors. So we have a syntax error, and right here we have an indentation. So let's look at that. So my define is not lining up with this define, so we'll just give it a space and then save and check for syntax errors. So no syntax errors. So now we can build our add-in and test drive our add-in. So we go to our folder, make our add-in, and then create an add-in. So install that add-in. And then we can test it in ArcMap. I added a layer that's an elevation raster in longitude and latitude. And if we look at that layer, its extent is ranging from the bottom 64.8 degrees to the top 65.05 degrees. And the left is negative 147.4 degrees, or the right is negative 147.4 degrees, and the left is negative 148.15 degrees. So that will be sort of the extent of this elevation raster. Here is our button, and you notice the tooltip works, create random points, and then the tooltip message is create random points to memory using the user specified extent. So we'll test drive it. So we create a rectangle, and then it's going to create 30 random points as layer in memory. So there are our 30 random points that were created in memory, and if we wanted to, we could use the copy features tool to save that to the hard drive, or right mouse click data, export to save it to the hard drive. So we could zoom in on a smaller area, and it created 30 random points to that smaller area. The one thing we forgot to do is refresh our active view. So let's go back to our script and we'll refresh our active view. So we'll exit. Okay, and then let's add some print statements. So for example, print deleting old random points layer, and that will appear in our Python window. And then print creating 30 new random points to our layer, that will be in our Python window. And then print active view refresh, that will be in our Python window. And we'll save our work, and then we need to rebuild our add-in. So we make our add-in and then install it. So then we could test drive it in ArcMap. So I added a ortho photo that's in the UTM coordinate system as a different layer. So here's our button, create random points, and we'll create some random points. So if we look at our Python window, we have the message deleting old random points layer because I already did this once, and then creating new random points layer in memory, active view refreshed. And we'll try it again, and we'll try it again. So basically the tool works and it deletes the older random points as we create new random points, and then active view refreshed. Okay, so if you go to the Blackboard website, the next video session is available for you.